Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the biggest nose, Jay-Z Courtside, coming at y'all today on, Wednesday, December 10th. I hope everyone's having a phenomenal start to their day. We got an interesting podcast today, folks. We only had 2 NBA games last night, but that did not stop me from preparing a banger of an episode for y'all today. All right? Y'all already know we do all of these podcasts live. If you don't know that by now, then I'd be very surprised. Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. So today's podcast, we're going to break down the 2 games from last night, talk about what the winning teams did right, talk about what I personally noticed from the losing teams last night. And then we got a true or false segment at the end of today's podcast where we're going to bring up some trending news that you see everywhere on all social media, right? And we're going to decide whether or not I believe there's any validity behind them or not. True or false. Simple as that. Before we do get started, though, I would ask y'all to leave a 5-star rating and review for all my podcast listeners. Excuse me. And if you are trying to get more involved in the action, remember we do all of these live Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Kick, all that jazz. All right. So I got nothing left to say except let's just get right into today's pod. Let's get into the meat of this thing, man. Let's get into the meat of this thing. We had the Miami Heat just miserably choking their almost 20-point lead against the Orlando Magic. The Magic come back and win and advance in the NBA Cup. We'll be talking more specifically about the NBA Cup later in this podcast, but right now, you guys know I hate starting with how did this team lose this? Did this team lose this game or did the other team win this game? We're not doing that BS. We're going to start with a winner and then we're going to finish with a loser. So let's just go ahead and start off by saying that the Orlando Magic utterly embarrassed the Miami Heat. Now, why is that? If you guys were watching this game, I think the Miami Heat were up like 13-0 to start off this game. And then they started to allow them to score a little bit, but overall, the Miami Heat killed them in the first quarter. And then in the second quarter, they gave up 40 points. Third quarter, they gave up 33. So the Miami Heat got ran out the gym. And one thing I'll tell y'all, yeah, the Miami Heat, that's a great point. The Miami Heat had 20 points in the first 4 minutes of the game. They were scoring every time down the floor. Now, the Orlando Magic this game actually hit their threes. And that's not even why they won. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand teams, right? Like the Orlando Magic. I'm going to name their twin in the Eastern Conference, the Detroit Pistons. These teams are horrible 3-point shooting teams. Horrible. So if they're hitting threes against you, you have 0 chance at winning. Because the the Orlando Magic play great defense, right? The Miami Heat did play great defense, and now they just can't. Now they're not. They were top 5 in defensive efficiency, and now they have fallen to the bottom half of the league. And I'll get into that a little bit later as to why that's happened, right? The Orlando Magic last night, if you watch the game, first half, let's light them up from 3. Second half, let's just score every single bucket in the paint. Let's just force our way into the paint every single time. And guess what? There was no force because there was no resistance from the Miami Heat. There were multiple times in this game where Paolo Banchero, Desmond Bane, Jalen Suggs, hell, even Anthony Black were just walking into the paint and getting these wide open layups. Like, I was watching Paolo Banchero look like a competent player, look like he could be the 1B to the Desmond Bane, because I've said it once, I've said it twice, hell, I've said it 100 times. I never see Paolo Banchero being a number 1 option in the NBA. 1A, 1B, that's fine. I could see that. That's more than fine. Until he develops a jump shot, he will not be able to be a number 1, right? That's why we saw Franz Wagner working as a 1A, 1B, because I don't think he can be a number 1 either. Paolo Banchero had 18 points last night, and he shot 5 for 13. The most important thing about Paolo is that he was actually trying to get to the rim more than he has in recent history. This all stems from one guy, and that's Desmond Bane. Something that I noticed, I want to keep talking about the Magic, what they did right, rather than what the Miami Heat did wrong, okay? And what the Orlando Magic did right was constant ball movement, constant swinging. They ripped a page right out of the Miami Heat's playbook. They had 30 assists. Typically, when you watch an NBA game and one team got 30 assists and the other team didn't, that team with 30 assists is going to win 9 times out of 10. Okay? So the Orlando Magic were making that extra pass. They were finding the open man, and that's the issue here. There were a lot of open men. Guys, the Orlando Magic do not attempt this many threes. They do not attempt this many threes. Hell, they don't make this many threes. 15 threes, and they shot 46% from deep. 46%, the Orlando Magic? You're telling me the Orlando Magic, who is a bottom 5 three-point shooting team in the NBA. Bottom 5. There you go. You're telling me they shot you out the gym? And that goes to show the lack of defense, the lack of attention to detail that the Miami Heat posed last night. I can't tell you how many times I saw drive and kick, drive and kick, drive and kick over and over and over again. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one play that is more elementary than the pick and roll, and that is the drive and kick. I don't know how many times it happened last night, but it was over and over and over again. The Miami Heat were getting obliterated with the two most simple plays in basketball. Not pistols, not an enhanced motion triangle offense. No, they got beat by drive and kicks and pick and rolls. How many times did Goga Batadze get an alley-oop to him in the paint? He had 7 points. I think they were all alley-oops and a free throw. So when I tell you that the Orlando Magic didn't need a magnet ball that you'll see people talking about, that magnet ball that was going in against the Miami Heat, no, that wasn't it. The Miami Heat were just daring them to shoot, and they were hitting them. First of all, you can't leave Desmond Bane open for 3. He had 6 open threes. He hit them all. Jalen Suggs had open threes. He hit 3 of them. Paolo Banchero got 2 threes. You can live with that. If Wendell Carter Jr. is shooting 66% from deep, you got an issue. You're just not reading the scouting report. And then Tristan Da Silva loves sitting in that corner, and it was working. It was working. When the Orlando Magic started to realize that they were relying on their 3-ball too much, they were just driving to the hoop, and guess what? The Miami Heat were not putting up any fight whatsoever. When you look at this team right here, you would think that the Orlando Magic lost because they had limited bench production. It's really just Tristan Da Silva and Goga Batadze getting those like little buckets here and there, right? Jonathan Isaac didn't do anything. Tyus Jones didn't do anything. So when you look at what they lost to, it was just the starting lineup. And it somewhat makes sense. 38 minutes from Desmond Bane. That's a lot. That's a lot for a regular season in-season tournament game. But at the same time, you look at what the Magic did right, and it's not a whole lot more than what the Heat did. It just looked like it because they were getting ran out the gym. So the Orlando Magic played to their strengths, but the Miami Heat was just daring them to take those open shots and just inviting them to get open layups all game long. So let's go on and talk about the Miami Heat. And wow. I'm not going to talk about too extensively about certain things about the Miami Heat because we are ending today's podcast with a true or false segment. And we are going to be talking about the Miami Heat specifically in one of those topics. Okay. First and foremost, I have to say something that could get tomatoes thrown at me, right? I have to say something. There's a group of people on Twitter, specifically Heat fans, obviously, that were doing some serious front running at the start of this game. They were up. They had a big lead at the beginning of the game. And then, unfortunately for the Miami Heat, it all collapsed right from there. And I sort of knew while I was watching this game, I was like, oh, the Heat are celebrating right now. The Heat are getting really hyped right now. They're going to lose this game. Literally turned to my fiance and said, look at that lead. They're going to lose this game. I guarantee it. And that's exactly what happened. You know, people were talking and correcting me saying that the Miami Heat have a top 5 in advanced metrics for defensive rating. They have fallen to the second half of the league. They are now 17th in defensive rating. That is not good. That's not good at all. When did this drop off happen, you might ask? Well, it was when a certain somebody returned to the court that I said, I am not ready to judge this team until he returns. Well, he's returned. And I know a lot of people on Twitter are saying, how dare you guys blame Tyler Hero? How dare y'all blame Tyler Hero? He's on fire. He's averaging over 20 points since he's been back. Okay, but what about defensively? Listen, y'all, I am not a Miami Heat fan. I'm a basketball fan. And something that I can tell you that is quite obvious right now is body language. Heat fans, have you guys been watching specifically Tyler Hero on offense and defense? Offensively, when Davion Mitchell's bringing the ball up the court, Bam Adebayo has been yelling at Tyler Hero to get his ass into the corner. Get in the corner. Get on the wing, get in the corner. And Tyler Hero is somewhat sulking, walking to the three-point line. Because Davion Mitchell's the guy with a ball in his hands right now. Another thing I noticed offensively is Tyler Hero. What was working so well for the Miami Heat, extra pass, extra pass, extra pass, extra pass, extra pass, swing it. I know you're open, but that guy's more open. Swing it one more time. I'm going to point something out to Heat fans, and if you guys haven't noticed, I want you to go watch a condensed version of this game back. You will know exactly what I'm talking about, and you will guys see why your offense is pretty bad right now. If you have not noticed, the Miami Heat are still trying to swing that ball. And I'm not going to say something basic that Tyler Hero is a ball stopper. We know he is. I'm going to say something that's a little bit more in depth than that. Because let's say Tyler Hero doesn't shoot. Let's say he doesn't put the ball on the floor and take it to the hoop. There's two things that Tyler Hero does the most. I guess three things offensively that is killing the Miami Heat offense. You know what those things are? Okay, number one, when Tyler Hero catches the ball in the wing and there's someone open in the corner, let's say Bam Adebayo's open in the corner. Instead of just immediately catch and swing, he goes into a triple threat for 1 or 2 seconds. And then he swings it to Bam Adebayo. Guess what? He's not open anymore because you had to just do a triple threat. Okay. Another thing that Tyler Hero does. I'm naming 3 things right now that is killing the Miami Heat's offense. He catches the ball. Bam Adebayo's open in the corner. He will, instead of doing a triple threat, he'll put the ball on the floor, do 1 dribble, sometimes 2 dribbles, and then swing the ball. Too late. Bam Adebayo's not open anymore. The last thing that Tyler Hero does that absolutely stagnates the Miami Heat's offense, he catches the ball, and instead of a quick swing, he throws a weak lob pass to whoever's open, gets picked off, or it just took too long. So those are the offensive flaws that I have noticed. And Heat fans, I really implore you to go watch the condensed version of last night's game. Go watch a condensed version of any game since Tyler Hero's been back. And I assure you, little things like that, these are things that I picked up in my men's rec league. I noticed that every time I caught the ball at the three-point line, I would take a dribble or get into my triple threat and hold the ball. And then there you go. My guy who was open on the wing isn't open anymore. I noticed that I was doing that. Now I'm swinging it quick or making a snap decision by shooting. I play in an adult rec league, not the NBA. And I noticed that that's a fault that I had. Tyler Hero should notice that before he came onto the court, it wasn't triple threat, 1 dribble, 2 dribble swing. It was catch and swing, drive and cut, catch and swing. So that's their biggest issue offensively right now. Defensively, it's no surprise. I'm sorry, Tyler Hero fans. I understand that y'all love this dude, but defensively, I watched Cade Cunningham put his head in the basket multiple times 2 weeks ago. I saw that happen. Now, Cade Cunningham does that to a lot of players. But one thing that the other players don't do is they'll either foul Cade or they'll stop Cade and just try their hardest and they won't get called for a foul. Tyler Hero was backing up every single time Cade's body touched him. Every single time Cade drove into Tyler Hero, Hero backed up. It's unbelievable. Watch the highlights of this game. They were targeting Tyler Hero every play as if he was Duncan Robinson on the Pistons. Teams target Duncan Robinson in the fourth quarter. That's true. For the Pistons, they target Duncan Robinson. The reason I mentioned Duncan Robinson is because he was a former Heat player. He played for the Heat for what, 7 years? Now what I'm seeing, back when I used to see teams target Duncan Robinson on the Heat, they're now targeting Tyler Hero. It was rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. If they're targeting your $150 million player, something's the issue. And it's not the team. It is the player. Tyler Hero's an offensive he's an offensive lights out shooter at number one, right? But when your best player is that bad at defense, like a Jalen Brunson, right? Like a Jalen Brunson brings it to you on the offensive side consistently on a night-to-night basis. We'll be talking about that game after. But when you watch the Miami Heat and their lack of offense and defense now, Tyler Hero is giving up way more on defense than he is than he's giving you on offense. And that's the biggest issue here. The NBA is a give and take league. If you give them a 2, make sure you get a 3. If you give them a 2, make sure you try to get a 2 back or a 3. That's how the NBA works. And last night, you saw every single flaw imaginable in the Miami Heat. I understand Tyler Hero is coming back from an injury, but at the same time, you need to understand that if your best player is not playing defense, if he's being a ball stopper offensively, that is your biggest issue. So for everybody that is on Twitter defending Tyler Hero, I love Tyler Hero as a player. Love watching him. But their defensive rating and their offensive rating, all of their efficiencies have gone down the toilet since he's come back. It's not looking good. There's a reason this team has lost 4 in a row, right? Defense, I love this comment in the Twitch chat. Defense is 70% effort. All you have to do is show your opponent your body. Bump them once. Show them that you are in front of them. Tyler Hero does not do that, and that's why he was getting targeted all last night. I'd like to say this whole team was sort of ass last night, I will admit. But the Magic weren't shooting well either. It was just Desmond Bane who played well. The Magic were not playing well. The only thing that worked out in the Magic's favor, like I said, if you're giving the Orlando Magic 15 threes, made threes, you lost that game every day of the week. This isn't like if we just hit 1 or 2 threes. No. If you give up 15 threes to the Orlando Magic, that means you are giving up 15 threes to a team that can get whatever they want down low. You're giving up to a team that can actually get stops on the defensive side of the ball. If you are giving threes to a team that is bottom 3 in the NBA at shooting threes, you lost this game, because the only reason the Magic are 15-10 is because of 2 things. It's their paint presence and their defense. If you are giving 15 threes to a non-3-point shooting team, you are not winning that game. I see a person in the TikTok saying that you don't know basketball. I would love for you to point out one thing that is telling me that I do not know basketball. The Orlando Magic are not even arguably, they are a bottom 3-point shooting team in the NBA. 27th in 3-pointers made, 25th in 3-pointers attempted, 22nd in 3-point percentage. What they do well is get into the hoop. They are number 1 in free throws made, number 1 in free throws attempted. They're 9th in rebounds, top 12 in scoring, because they're averaging the top 3 most points scored in the paint against all of their opponents. The Heat getting out rebounded is a normal thing. That I don't even think I need to even point that out. That's a normal thing. When I tell you, I'm a Pistons fan. We all know this. When the Pistons are hitting 10 threes minimum in a game, they don't lose. I'm talking 10 threes, because the Pistons do a couple things better than the Orlando Magic. The reason why I keep mentioning the Pistons in this discussion is because they are literally identical to the Orlando Magic in the East. They are twin brothers of the East. The Pistons are the best scoring team in the paint. Number one. The Magic are top 3 scoring in the paint. The Detroit Pistons are number 2 in defensive rating. The Orlando Magic are also top 5 in defensive rating. They're both elite teams guarding the perimeter, but they both suck at shooting from the perimeter. I love this comment from Mark in the Twitch streams. I really appreciate that comment. Desmond Bane has that takeover ability that we've been missing from a guard. I absolutely agree. I've said it once, but Desmond Bane is an elite player, and as much as I don't like the Orlando Magic, what I like more is basketball. And watching the Orlando Magic play basketball is either so much fun or unbelievably irritating. Last night, it was so much fun. Plain and simple. This was all without Franz Wagner. This is all without Mo Wagner, who hasn't played since last year. And honestly, they didn't really need a whole lot. Simone Fontecchio, I almost said what I used to call him when he was on the Pistons, on his birthday, shot 0 for 5. You know what's worse than him shooting 0 for 5 is the amount of buckets that he gave up on the other end. Guys, defense really is important. And when your star player, Tyler Hero, does not play defense, and when your number one offensive threat, Norman Powell, isn't shooting well, when Tyler Hero is stopping the ball every time he touches it, when we're doing Bam Adebayo ISO post-ups, when we're down by 10, it's not a recipe for success. I've been talking about this matchup for 20 minutes now, and I still feel like there's so much more to say, but I think I'm going to go ahead and move on because I pointed out the facts. We have another true or false section later in this episode today, and the Miami Heat will be talked about again. Okay, so that's what. If you guys are Heat fans, I implore you to just stick around because we're going to be talking about the Heat again, because that is 4 losses in a row. The Orlando Magic move on in the NBA Cup, and the Miami Heat are eliminated. They dropped to 14-11. Just so we're all clear, the Miami Heat just a week ago were 14-7. 14-7. They're 14-11 now, and they're back in the play-in with the Chicago Bulls, Atlanta Hawks, and Cleveland Cavaliers. Before we move on to our next segment, which is the next game, I would like to give a special shout out to the homie Raph. Shout out to Raph for following the Twitch stream. Welcome, bro. Happy to have you in here. Shout out to everybody else that is leaving the TikTok or YouTube and coming through to the mainstream, the Twitch stream. Robert, I appreciate the follow on TikTok as well, but I would, we do this Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. I would implore you. Why have I said implore 3 times today? I don't think I've ever said the word implore, but now I said it once and it just felt good. Now I keep saying it. I would implore you to come through to the Twitch stream. I appreciate it very, very much. Let's move on to our next segment. The New York Knicks absolutely embarrassing the Toronto Raptors in their home building. Now, this game was a snooze fest. The first quarter was a lot of fun, I'll admit. First quarter was a lot of fun. But that's about all we got, because the Toronto Raptors proceeded to then score 13 points in the second quarter. I mean, come on now. Where are all my Raptors audience members that were here last week? Where are they? Because last week, I was talking extensively about the Toronto Raptors, who were missing Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett. They've been missing RJ Barrett now, I think, for 4 or 5 games. 5 games. Where are all my Raptors fans? Because something is not right. We're going to talk about the Knicks. We're going to start with the Knicks, and then we'll talk Raptors. I don't like talking about the losing team first. I like to give credit where credit is due and speak on the winners. I don't like doing the losers first. You know what I'm saying? Because I like to give flowers to the team that won. Okay? Let's go ahead and start with the New York Knicks. Now, they as a team last night, listen, I'm just going to say this immediately. I got to start off by saying Mike Brown, wow. It's night and day, y'all. It's night and day. This team, I'm a professional Knicks hater, just so we're all clear. But something that I am more than all of my personal biases is I am a fan of basketball. Number one, most important thing about me is I am a fan of good basketball. And the Knicks are playing exactly that. Josh Hart, ever since I think he started this season, right? I think he's been getting, I think they're 5-0 now since Josh Hart has started, right? I think the New York Knicks are 5-0. Ever since he was inserted into the starting lineup. I'm going to just talk about purely the ball movement of this team. The ball movement of this team, right? Something that I've noticed the most about a Tom Thibodeau led team is that ball sticks way too much. Way too much. Way too much. Okay? And with Mike Brown, that ball is swinging. That ball is swinging. All it was Jalen Brunson dribbling the air out of the ball over and over and over again. And now it's working. I honestly thought that Josh Hart was going to win Sixth Man of the Year. He's not. No, he's going to start for a while. He is not coming off the bench anymore. He is a starter. This is how it works. He plays like a big guard. I love it. I absolutely love to see it. Okay. Now, let's just talk about the facts here. The facts. Karl-Anthony Towns has absolute butt cheeks on the road. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he shoots 42% from three at home. This is not my stat, by the way. I found this out from the commentators, good commentators last night. I don't remember who it was. But Karl-Anthony Towns is shooting 42% from three in New York, but on the road, he's shooting 23%. 23%. That's bad. He'll clean it up. I'm not worried about it. He'll clean it up. I want to talk about Jalen Brunson. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. Remember when I said that I'm a professional New York Knicks hater? How can you hate this? How can you hate this? Jalen Brunson is a dog, man. Jalen Brunson is a dog. Jalen Brunson has been playing he had that one bad game. I don't remember who that was against, but he had a bad game. And he has finally awoken from that bad game. It genuinely felt like Jalen Brunson didn't miss any shots, but apparently he missed 6. Dude, this guy's footwork for a 6'2" guard, I haven't seen this before. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Can you guys tell me another guard at 6'2" that has this elite of footwork? I don't recall. I genuinely can't think of another guard that does this. That floater that he's got became automatic last year. I don't think most 6'2" guards I've seen, they just sprint to the hoop and do some acrobatic finish. That's not what this guy does. This guy drives to the hoop after a tween behind the back, gets his back to the basket, does a little fake, and puts up a floater or puts up a midi fadeaway. It's a thing of beauty. Listen, I just talked about Jalen Brunson the other day. I said Jalen Brunson is too good of a player to be playing for foul calls. He's too good of a player to be playing for foul calls. He has not been playing for foul calls this year. And I can tell you what I noticed. Just so everybody understands how much ball I know, right? Just so everybody understands. Jalen Brunson was trying to get foul calls. That game that he had, that really bad game. I'm sorry, I don't remember what game it was. I keep referring it to that game, but it was when Jalen Brunson had an awful game. It was against Boston on national television. So Jalen Brunson had 15 points and he shot 6 for 21. That was a horrible game from Jalen Brunson, right? And something that Brunson was doing, and I'm sure you guys noticed this because he was playing very awkwardly, is he was going for foul calls. He kept flopping. He kept doing that head bob. He kept flailing his arms, and Mike Brown yanked him. And he started to talk to him when he was on the bench. I think this is something that Mike Brown must have talked about when he became a head coach in New York. He doesn't want them flailing for fouls. He doesn't want them playing for the foul call because you guys know this. Once you start playing for the foul call, you go down a slippery slope. And he hasn't done that this year. Whenever he gets frustrated, he starts flailing. He starts head bobbing. Now, I'm telling you firsthand, last year, in the first round of the playoffs, when it was Pistons versus Knicks, it was every single possession. Jalen Brunson was flailing that head and swinging his arms, exaggerating every single call. And he was averaging, I think he had over 70 free throws, or it was 50 to 70 free throws in that 6-game series. So when I tell you that is the reason why I dislike Jalen Brunson, and then seeing him do what he's doing this year, it's incredible. It's a sight to see, because I'm not going to lie. He made me single-handedly hate the Knicks. But now all of a sudden this year, the way he's playing, the way he's not doing that anymore. Now, I hope he doesn't do that in the playoffs, but you know what I'm saying? But right now, this is just beautiful basketball. And I'm going to talk about the NBA Cup later on in this episode, so stick around. I think the competitiveness was great. I think Cat had a horrible game, but it happens. He was great on the offensive and defensive glass. OG Anunoby was filling the gaps, but he didn't shoot well. This could have been a bigger blowout. Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby were doing everything defensively, but it looks like that they didn't have any really have any legs for offense. They did not have any legs for offense. And this is what I mean by, like, they don't need it on an everyday night, you know? All they need is the consistent defense. And offense is, it'll come. It'll come. Something I noticed when I looked at the box score after I watched the game was the assist numbers. This can't stay. This cannot be a constant. I'm just letting y'all know. I think it'll increase when Deuce is back and Landry Shamet is back, but this cannot stay a constant. This will not work. This is playoff basketball. 19 assists, that's not good. That's not good. So that needs to increase. But if you're giving up 28 free throws to the Knicks and you're only getting 18 and you're just outplaying them in every facet of basketball, yeah, man, you're not going to beat the Knicks. And I don't have a whole lot to talk about as far as the Raptors go. What I will say is, I told y'all, all the Raptors fans have disappeared except for my Twitch stream. Kai, shout out to you in the Twitch stream. I had about 30 to 50 Toronto Raptors fans at my neck last week. Not exaggerating. I had so many Raptors fans at my neck. And it's no wonder, Canada, go Canada. Y'all were at my neck, and I won't forget that. I told y'all about this team, man. I told y'all about this team. I told y'all at the beginning of this year that RJ Barrett is going to be way more important to this team than y'all think. No, we got to trade RJ Barrett. We got to get rid of Emmanuel quickly. His contract is horrible. Nobody's going to want to take him. Y'all, I'm not here to tell you that Emmanuel quickly is going to save this team, but somebody will take his contract. There is some upside. Some. RJ Barrett, on the other hand, y'all have not realized how important he is to this team. I think now you guys are. RJ Barrett does all the little things. RJ Barrett does all the little things. He does not have plays called for him. He'll sit in the corner and he'll hit you an open three. But he'll also sit in the corner and back cut or take a backdoor cut to the basket. RJ Barrett does all the things that a player doesn't really want to do on the basketball court, and he does them at an elite level. At an elite level. You can't really ask for much more from Abaji. Jamal Shed is doing all he can. He's not a starting point guard yet. Colin Murray-Boyles, he was okay. Jacoby Walker was okay. I think this is the worst Mamu game of the season. They had no bench production at all. I mean, look at this. Chucky Hepburn 0 for 3. Grady Dick 0 for 3. AJ Lawson 0 for 2. Garrett Temple 0 for 1. Jonathan Mogbo 1 for 1. They had no bench. They're missing Emmanuel quickly. They're missing RJ Barrett. And like I said, man, I've been preaching to the heavens that RJ Barrett is arguably the second most important player on this team. Brandon Ingram did his thing offensively, but if it comes down to a mid-range shot every possession from Scotty Barnes or Brandon Ingram, I'll be honest, y'all, Scotty was not impressive last night. He was not impressive last night at all. 13 points in almost 40 minutes. Defensively, he was getting destroyed by pretty much Jalen Brunson every time he drove to the hoop. He was trying on Cat, but he was trying so much with Cat that it just wasn't working. It just wasn't working. Yeah, Scotty looked very soft last night, and I was not a fan of how he was playing. He took 6 threes. 1 for 6. That's not a good game. That's a horrible game for Scotty Barnes. Horrible game. He looked tired. He looked lazy. He didn't look like he wanted to play. It really looked like Brandon Ingram was the only one that came up to play. I mean, there's a reason he had 31 points and was almost all in the first quarter. I was very frustrated watching this game because I'm watching them get open 3 after open 3 after open 3. I'm not ready to have a serious conversation about Scotty Barnes. I'm not ready to do that because he's been really good this year. He just hasn't taken that big leap that we were all sort of expecting, like, how Cade had his leap. It's looking like Evan Mobley right now. I think they're just going to be a standard third option on a championship team. It's very early to say that, so I'm not going to just go out on a limb and say I'm 100% right here. I think he's only 23. He's 24. He's 24. He's dipped below 20 points per game. He's not going to get back to 20 points per game. On his 3-point percentage is only going to continue dropping. It's dropping 2% every single game. So the leap that you thought he was going to have, I don't think he's going to have a significant jump. Especially when you look at, like, I mean, the best comparison right now is looking at Evan Mobley. You know what I mean? Where I think they're just going to be a steady number 2, number 3 kind of guy on a championship team. I still love Scotty Barnes, but that was an ugly game after last night. Yeah, I know a lot of people have been saying that they played 7 games in 11 days, so I understand. Maybe fatigue played a part. They're already thin. They're missing RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly, but I don't want to sit here and like say an irrational comment like I saw on the TikTok a second ago. The guy said Raptors missing 2 of their 4 best players and them looking bad isn't rocket science. Listen, you're acting as if RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly are Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Let's chill out here. Let's chill out. 2 of your 4 bet. Like, I hear you. But RJ Barrett is a glue guy. RJ Barrett isn't going to win you an extra bunch of games. And Emmanuel Quickly especially, you're telling me that the team is missing. Emmanuel Quickly is not, he ain't great. He is not great, especially his shooting. He is not great. Defensively, he's okay. That's about all I got for the games from last night. I mean, we almost broke those down for about 40 minutes. So hell yeah, shout out to us. The Knicks also beat a healthy Raptors team just a couple weeks ago as well. So shout out to the TikTok for reminding me about that. All right, TikTok, if you guys are enjoying the stream, be sure to swing on into the Twitch stream, Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. The link is in my bio. Let's move on to our next segment, our final segment of today's episode, where we're going to be playing a little game of true or false, okay? And we got 4 topics here, so get involved. I want to hear what your guys' opinions are on these true or falses. So if I'm going to say something, and I want to hear from you. Is this true or is this false? I'm going to share you guys what I think. So help me talk through it. True or false? The Miami Heat will make a big move by the trade deadline. We have all of the text and the graphics on the Twitch stream, so make sure y'all come through to the Twitch stream. It's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. I think this one is complicated to say because I highlighted big. Because that's what everyone's trying to hype up right now, that they think it's going to be a big trade from the Miami Heat. They think they're going to swing for Kawhi. They think they're going to swing for Giannis. They think they're going to swing for LaMelo, for Trey, for Ja Morant. I hope not. I don't see it. I don't see them making a big trade. Not by the deadline. I don't see it. I do see them making a trade, though. I see them making a trade. I don't think they're going to get rid of Tyler Hero. I don't think they're going to go and swing for the fences. I understand the East is quote unquote wide open this year, but look at their rivals here, right? The rivals here are like, let's look at teams that rival the Miami Heat and get it in their way, right? You have the Detroit Pistons who exploit every single one of the Miami Heat's weaknesses. You have the New York Knicks who I mean, they're come on. Yeah. You have the Orlando Magic who seem to have their number. They can't beat the Magic. I don't think they can beat them in a 7-game series either. So I don't know. The way that they collapse against the Orlando Magic is embarrassing. And then you also still have the Cleveland Cavaliers who haven't been playing well yet. You have the Atlanta Hawks. Like, you have a bunch of these average teams. So when you look at the Miami Heat, are they a couple pieces away from putting together a reasonable run at the playoffs, right? Miami's always picking up the phone, but they rarely make a move. I love that comment from Mr. Miami in the Twitch stream. Do You Burn Bro from the Twitch chat said they're not going to make a big trade, D'Angelo Russell caliber, and we all know Pat Riley's an older guy who doesn't overpay. Couldn't have said it better myself. Could not have said it better myself. Their assets are depreciating a bit, I will admit. But when you look at the Miami Heat roster, let's just take a look at them, right? Bam is secure. Simone Fontecchio is on, I believe, an expiring deal. Yeah, Fontecchio, who's been horrible for the Miami Heat as of late for the last month. It was his birthday yesterday, and he absolutely put up a stinker. He put up a goose egg. He's on an expiring deal. Let's see. Obviously, Tyler Hero. I don't think they're gonna deal Tyler Hero. I gotta be honest. I don't see it happening. Jaime Jaquez, no. Keshad Johnson. Okay. So this is one guy I could see them moving, and that's if another team will take him. This is just a gamble at this point. The only way you can trade Nikola Jovic is if you convince a team that he's only 22. Look at these games. He's dropped mid 20s. Look at these games. And they're going to sell the hell out of those couple games that Nikola Jovic actually played well, right? So when you look at the Miami Heat's roster and you see the amount of talent that they have, you could convince yourself in a Nikola Jovic trade. You could convince yourself in what else? They don't really have any other pieces that have value behind them. So I think the Miami Heat will make a trade, but I don't think it's going to be a swing for the fences trade. So I'm going to go ahead and say false. The Miami Heat will not make a big trade by the deadline. Off season, maybe. By the deadline, I don't see it happening. I'm going to go ahead and say false. Miami Heat fans, strap in because this is going to be your team relatively. This is your team. This is your team. Let's move on to another trending topic that I can tell y'all immediately is false. Immediately. It's false. True or false? The Detroit Pistons will be trading for Anthony Davis. False. False. I hate that people are falling for this guy, Evan Snidey, or whatever the hell his name is on Twitter. False. The Detroit Pistons are not trading for Anthony Davis. That's not happening. Let me see what you guys all say. I want to hear whether it's true or false from your guys' point of view. As a Pistons fan, I am telling you this is false. Just to give you an example of what this trade would be. Now, I'm not going to lie to y'all and say Anthony Davis doesn't sound intrigued. Like, that sounds very intriguing to me. As a Pistons fan, as an Anthony Davis fan, that sounds extremely enticing to me. But here's how the trade package will work. It would be Jaden Ivey, who just returned after 11 months of playing, and he's been rusty. But he's also due for an extension this summer. Or sorry, he's not due for we already missed his extension. So he would be due to re-sign. He is going to be a restricted free agent this summer. It would involve Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris, who's on his expiring deal. Possibly a first round pick swap, and 2 seconds. Hell no. Hell no. Now, I don't blame Trajan Landon for inquiring about Anthony Davis. I don't blame him. I would call Dallas Mavericks too, and I would say, "Yo, how much y'all want for him?" And when you hear that response, you just hang right the hell up. Because he's not worth that anymore. Anthony Davis in his prime, Anthony Davis at his peak, yes, absolutely. But Anthony Davis right now, you don't know, you know what you're getting. Not you don't know what you're getting. You know what you're getting. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's off. And he's off a lot. And I mean off the court, not playing off. Okay? So I love what this comment just said. My homie Jay, that's in the Twitch stream, I implore y'all, fourth time I've said it this podcast, I implore you guys in the YouTube and TikTok to come through to the Twitch stream. It's a much better experience over here, y'all. Jay said, that's not even that bad of a trade if you're trying to win right now. Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Because I'll tell y'all, and I quote what Traindon Landon, the Pistons GM, has said over and over and over again. He just said it 2 days ago on a podcast. Langdon and JB Bickerstaff both said that the Pistons last year, with a small amount of success that they got last year, right? The players are owed their rights to feed off that momentum this game. This year. They earn the right to play this year and prove themselves. I absolutely agree, Kai. You said AD and Kawhi are similar, injury prone, but very good when healthy. So here's what I'll say about this trade. It's absolutely false because the Detroit Pistons right now, they have Jalen Duren. They have Isaiah Stewart. In case you guys don't know, because I know this isn't really a popular stat to talk about, but when Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren are on the court together, they lead, listen up, the entire NBA in plus minus for any duo in the NBA right now. They are plus 62 when they're on the court together. Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart. Duren gives you that big body down low. You're not stopping JD if he's under the basket. You're not. If he's cutting to the hoop, good luck as well. He's putting the ball on the floor as well and finding the open man. Isaiah Stewart has shown everybody that he is our most efficient three-point shooter on the entire team. And this is the team with Duncan Robinson, who's averaging what? 40% from three. We need another shooter. That's what the Pistons need. They're waiting for Malik Beasley. I know they're not waiting around, but the Pistons need another shooter. They absolutely need another shooter. But going for Anthony Davis, a glass cannon like him, would clog that paint. Clog the hell out of that paint for Jalen Duren. Why the hell would they do that? Pistons are saying, hell no, they're not doing that. Cade Cunningham is 24. Anthony Davis is turning 34. Their careers don't align. Anthony Davis wants to be a four, and that's going to clog the paint for Jalen Duren. Now, I love this question that Jay asked me in the Twitch stream. He said, how high are you on Jaden Ivey? I'm not that high. In fact, I'm pretty low. He hasn't played in 11 months, and he's rusty. But what I will say is look at that three-point percentage, y'all. 42% from three on 4 attempts per game. Jaden Ivey is shooting, and he's shooting it well. All Jaden Ivey needs to learn how to do now is drive to the hoop and finish at the basket, because he is not doing it. He's not doing it. Jaden Ivey looks scared, and that's okay. He hasn't played in 11 months. But that three-point shooting from Jaden Ivey right now, it's looking real. It's looking real. It's looking very real. I'd like to give a special shout out to Mr. 365 for leaving the TikTok stream and coming through to the Twitch stream. I appreciate you very, very, very much, Mr. 365. Shout out to you for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch. I'm not putting trade packages together right now for teams. The matter of question was, are the Pistons trading for Anthony Davis? And that's absolutely not. That is false. Okay? Kevin, I'd love for you to watch in the Twitch stream. You too, Tito. Come through, guys. Come through. Jay said again, so what are you scared of losing in that AD trade? I'm scared of gaining the dependence on an injured player. That I do not want to do that. I think adding Anthony Davis will stint the growth on Jalen Duren, and I don't want to do that. Plus, Anthony Davis is due for an extension in what, a year and a half? I'm good. No, thank you. No team wants to extend Anthony Davis. Hell no. Let's move on to our next topic, and I want you guys to let me know whether this is true or false, okay? I'm going to give you my answer immediately, so just be quick. True or false? The NBA Cup was a great idea. True. I'm sorry. I listen, I don't like agreeing with Adam Silver as much as the next guy. I don't. The NBA Cup, though, was a great idea. Now, I won't go as far as to say as the court is a great idea. Those courts are hideous. I hate these NBA Cup courts. They are disgusting. I understand they're trying to make an event out of it, but they look horrendous. What I will say, though, is the NBA Cup is awesome right now, man. Listen, I'm over here watching the NBA when I normally watch football at this point in time. You know, I normally watched the NFL during, they need to tone down these courts because the city edition courts are infinitely better than the NBA Cup floors. It feels like playoff basketball. Just look at these scores. The top score is 117 points. The defense is there. The defense has improved. The defense on these courts, like they are actually trying because they want 500,000. They want 500,000. Why wouldn't these players not want an additional 500,000? I think if it was anything but money, they wouldn't be trying, just like the All-Star game. Nobody tries in the All-Star games because there's really nothing on the line. I think the NBA Cup is a great idea. I think it's a splendid idea because these players want that money. Watching Brunson last night, I was getting flashbacks to last year in the playoffs. Genuinely. Brunson was out there trying. Regardless of some of the high-scoring games in the NBA Cup, I think competition is good. And anytime you add a little incentive as far as money goes, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. The players are trying more, and it's making the most boring time in the NBA enjoyable. So I think anytime you add some real competitiveness and some fire under these players' asses, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Let's move on to our last and final segment. True or false? Answer with me. Giannis will be traded by the deadline. I said this was false last week. Part of me wants to stay on that side, but I'm low-key getting worried. I think seeing Giannis right now get hurt, especially, I don't want to say that he just played his final game in Milwaukee. I don't know if I can say he just played his final game in Milwaukee. I don't know, man. I don't know. I said it was false last week, but now I'm sort of split in the middle. I just don't know. And I'm hoping it's false. I see all of these comments right now on the Twitch stream and some on the TikTok as well. I'd love for y'all to come through to the Twitch stream right now. Get involved in the action. I'm seeing a comment from Kai saying, where does Giannis end up then? See, now that's the question. I'm going to go ahead and say it's false. I still don't believe he's going to get traded. I don't think Giannis Antetokounmpo played his final game in Milwaukee. Simple fact, I got to go with my boy Brew, who I know is a Bucks fan. He said no chance. He is in Milwaukee until the offseason, then gets traded. I think it's going to be an offseason trade. I'm going to go ahead and stick with my guns and say it's false. Giannis commits to the team at the start of every year. He's committed himself. He said at the beginning of the season that he's with the Bucks. He's committed. He doesn't get involved in these trade discussions in the middle of the season, at least not publicly. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but from what I'm telling y'all, based off of what I believe, I think that they're going to wait until the offseason. I think they want picks. Obviously, they want picks. I think the Milwaukee Bucks would rather have picks than like competent players, because when you look at the offer that the New York Knicks would trade, right? It would be a Karl Anthony Towns, and it would be either an OG Anunoby or a Mikal Bridges. I'm assuming a Mikal Bridges. Not just that, it would be a bunch of first-round pick swaps. It would be a bunch of, not pick swaps, pick trades. And it would be a bunch of second-round picks as well. I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and say false. I think this is too big of a trade to happen in the middle of the season. And I know my man Solo in the Twitch stream said just a couple days ago, hey, Luka got traded in the middle of the season. And I have to disagree. That's not the same thing. That's Nico Harrison having a personal vendetta against Luka Doncic. I just don't agree. Because that trade isn't a trade that's going to just happen. Right? That's not what's going to happen. This is going to be a calculated trade that is going to take weeks and months to figure out. Okay? That's what's going to happen. This isn't I hate Luka Doncic, I'm traded him to LA. That's not how it's going to be. This is going to be, Giannis, where do you want to go? I want to go to New York. Okay, they're going to trade his ass to New York. They're not going to do, like, they're going to do what's best for the team, but they're not going to do it by screwing their franchise player. They're going to help him out and try to send him where he wants to go. So I'm going to go ahead and say false. I think it's going to be too big of a trade to happen in the middle of the season. And genuinely, I don't think the Knicks would do that. I don't think the Knicks would do that in the regular season. Or sorry, in the middle of the season. If the Knicks do that, right? You have to then figure out a whole new offensive scheme. You do. Because say what you will, I hate Cat. I despise Cat. But he's one of the best stretch forwards in the entire NBA. Honestly, of all time. He is one of the best stretch bigs of all time. He said it, I think, 2 years ago, and I have to agree. Guys, as much as I despise Karl Anthony Towns, that dude is like undeniably important to this New York Knicks team. Now, in New York, he's shooting 42% from three this season. On the road, he's shooting 32%. So his three-point percentage right now is 36%, which isn't great. But when you look, like, it's going to be Giannis with the ball way more than it's going to be Brunson with the ball. You have to change your entire offensive scheme. Your entire offensive scheme. I'm going to read what my homie Nugget on the Beat just said. I love that name. Shout out to you for following the Twitch stream and leaving the TikTok. Welcome, bro. He said most teams who have to trade away their best player aren't worried about the playoffs. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in live. I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in after the fact. I appreciate everybody for watching and listening. Twitch chat, stick around for just one moment. YouTube and TikTok, I appreciate it all as well. Podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. Today was almost an hour-long episode, so I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. Twitch chat, stick around. We're not done just yet. And yeah, man, I got nothing left to say. Except, thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And as always, guys, thank you for watching / listening. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning live at 9 a.m. Eastern.